Yo guys, welcome back. It is Ripe again. Today we got episode 8 of r/EntitledParents and you're about to hear 3 new stories and I bet you're gonna enjoy them. So sit back, relax and get annoyed at some entitled parents. Entitled anti-vaxxers cause over half my class to catch the chickenpox. Expect a thank you. This happened back when I was in kindergarten, so some details are a bit fuzzy, but the story is very much real. When I was in kindergarten, an entitled boy came to class one day with chickenpox. This wasn't a mild case either. The spots were angry and red, and within a few hours, a couple of our classmates were itching. My teacher had immediately called his parents, but they refused to pick him up, saying it would be good for the other children to be around him, asking her to just leave him in the classroom. Now, only about half my class had gotten their chickenpox shots at that point. My parents were really good about getting my brothers and I our shots when we were supposed to get them. But as this was early in the school year, a lot of the parents had not gotten their kids vaccinated for chickenpox yet. Also, by the way, to enroll in kindergarten at my elementary school, you have to either vaccinate your kids before the school year starts or within 3 months after. My teacher didn't know what to do. The office told her that if the parents wanted the kid to remain in class, she was technically supposed to let him unless other parents complained or the principal deemed him a danger to the other students. The principal was over at the high school on the other side of the city. However, he was principal of both, which is a weird Christian school thing. He would rush over when he could, but because of the school handbook, the EB had to remain in class. My teacher asked the school secretary to call our parents, but she only had home number for most parents and ended up with a lot of answering machines. So in kindergarten, everyone sat at table groups and I was at EB's table. He was carrying on like normal, yelling about Power Rangers. I was also the only kid at our little table who had been vaccinated. I remember feeling bad because one of the girls was scheduled to get her shot the next day. Talk about bad luck. A lot of the kids at my table started itching and the girl who was supposed to get her shot the next day showed me her arm and she had very faint pink dots. I don't know if chickenpox usually moves that quickly or if EB just had a super mutant strand, but I was freaked out. I knew I had gotten a shot that my mom promised would protect me from getting sick. But I was also 5 and still thought that Stitch from Lilo and Stitch was a real being who lived in Hawaii. I was convinced that touching EB would mean I would die from chickenpox. So my friends and I all avoided him like he had, well, the plague. Finally, the principal bursts into the room and kneels down in front of EB. He asks EB to please come with him so they can call his parents together. About 20 minutes later, the entitled parents show up. Shit hits the fan. The entitled mom starts screaming about how both she and her husband are licensed chiropractors and know all about the evils of vaccines and how vaccines give people autism. My oldest brother has Asperger's. If this had happened like 5 years later, I could have roasted the hell out of these anti-vaxxers for their stupidity. The entitled dad tries to calm the EM down, but also quietly tells my principal that as licensed chiropractors, they know and have seen how vaccines not only give children autism, but also make them gay. By the way, as a lesbian, I could have roasted the shit out of them had this taken place years later. My principal firmly tells them that the EB needs to go home and can only come back when he's no longer sick. The EP tried to fight back, but my principal is firm and the EB is finally dragged away from my class begging his parents for a new Power Rangers toy. As the week went on, more and more of my classmates dropped like flies until only about 7 of us remained. We were the lucky 7 who had been vaccinated prior to the start of the school year. And since most of the class was homesick, we got to play a ton of games and pick out the books we wanted to read, because usually the class voted and we 7 were often among the outvoted group. After a few days, my classmates began to return, not a red spot in sight. But it was a few weeks later that the real kicker happened. The Entitled Parents sent out emails to all parents of kids in my class, painting themselves as the victims and heroes for exposing the class to life's natural vaccine. My dad got really mad because even though I did not get sick, thanks parents who were on top of my vaccination, you all rock, a lot of my classmates did. The Entitled Parents asked for a thank you from the other parents, and needless to say, they got no thank yous and only a lot of passive-aggressive remarks and glares in the hallway. Also, don't feel too bad for the EB. He turned out to be one of the biggest entitled douchebags I have ever met. I went to school with him all the way up through high school, and he's one of the worst humans I've ever had the displeasure of dealing with. The entitled apple doesn't fall far from the entitled tree. I'm curious where people get the idea that chiropractors are supposed to be real doctors. Like, no way in hell they are. And aside from that, they have nothing to do with vaccines. So a chiropractor, he would usually maybe adjust your spine or something, and that's it. But they have nothing to do with that. Also, I could swear that like the report or study or whatever it was that claimed that vaccines can cause autism was actually disproven years ago already. But I mean, it's almost a conspiracy theory at that point, and people just keep believing in that stuff. So yeah, don't fall for that. Don't call my mom's breast saggy. So this happened in Florida, so it's not hard to believe, but this is probably the weirdest thing that's happened in my life. I was around 18 when this happened, and now I'm 24, so I'm sorry if things are a bit hazy. My mom, a cancer survivor, and I were taking a quick vacation to our relative's ranch to clear our heads of Florida madness, and so we could do something else, I can't remember what for. Anyway, we got past the TSA checkpoint and everything was going swimmingly until we met the EA, the entitled a-hole. He was about 6'3", had blonde hair, the typical Florida douchebag that was better than anyone else. He was listening to rock music without headphones, catching glares as he strolled through to his gate. I guess we were at the same gate as him because that's where we stopped, taking up 4 seats. He had one bag and a bunch of loose clothes, so he piled them up along his row. My mom and I had nowhere else to sit, so we walked up to the EA. We gathered our thoughts and the conversation plays out like this. My mom: "Excuse me, sir, we have nowhere else to sit and we were wondering if you could move your things so we can sit." EA: "Listen, lady, I have every right to chillax here and you're being just a piece of crap, so just sit on the floor." Before we move on, I would like to say that my mom has never been an instigator and avoids all bad situations like this. My mom: "Oh, I'm sorry, but I'm a cancer survivor and sometimes I need to rest from all the operations that I've had." EA: "Just fuck off, lady. These seats are taken, so walk you and your saggy boobs to the floor." At this point, I was fuming. I couldn't stand watching my mom be put down by this a-hole, so here's what I did. So we sat on the floor, but I could still see him. I waited until he used the bathroom and then I followed him. He entered one of the stalls in the back and I pretended to take a piss. Our flight started boarding in about 10 minutes, so this would work out perfectly. After I was done peeing, I pulled a zip tie out of my pocket. It was a thing I did in case I needed to close a broken bag, and I clocked the stall door shut. Somehow he didn't notice me and I strolled out of the bathroom with a big smile on my face. My mom had that look on her face like she knew I did something, but knew it was for the better. We boarded our airplane like normal and didn't see the guy on the plane. Okay guys, now for the last part of the story. It's kinda sad, so if you don't want to hear that, just turn your audio off for like 5 seconds. My mother died last year, so sharing memories like these and the fun times that we had is very calming to me. Okay, this was just a great story, even though it's not an entitled parent, but just an entitled a-hole from Florida. And I think it combines the best out of r/petty revenge or pro revenge and r/entitled parents. I think when someone treats your mom like that, then it's kind of justifiable. Otherwise, I would say this is almost too much of a revenge, because I don't know, maybe that guy just had a bad day or something, but as I said, since it's his mom, I can definitely relate to that. EM thinks she owns the pool and can kick people out. Backstory. I am a lifeguard at an indoor pool over the winter, and the pool is small and holds about 20 people comfortably, and it is 1.2 meters at the deepest point. There is a water slide on one end and stairs. This pool is attached to a hotel, and the hotel is owned by a man who also owns a skiing resort that we call The Hill. So people stay at The Hill for the day and come to town to the hotel. I live in the center of Canada, so skiing places are not close at all, and people come from far away to ski here. The hotel and The Hill have deals so that schools can come and ski and stay at the hotel, and they can swim from 5 until 10 p.m. Other guests can swim whenever, but the lifeguard is brought in when a school is going to be swimming. One of our rules is no food or snacks, and another rule is no alcohol. But if it's in a plastic cup, I don't know that it's alcohol and I cannot kick them out of the pool. Okay, now on to the story. One school had come in and they were young teenagers and they were swimming and following the rules. Only one person had broken the rules and he dove in the water as soon as he got there, but he was excited. Me and my other lifeguard were sitting and watching them. Then she walked in EM and her 5 EKs with ED following behind. They sit at the opposite end of the pool where me and the other lifeguards were sitting. The school had decided to play Marco Polo while EM had come in. As EM and her family come in, I lean over to my other lifeguards and say, "I bet she's the 'let me speak to your manager' type of person." My lifeguard friends were saying that she indeed does look like this type of person. After about 10 minutes, the EM and her family are still sitting and watching the school play. EM decided to go in with EK1 and EK2, while ED and the others just sat there. She gets in and puts her feet up in front of her to make a sort of shield to block her from the school kids. One of the kids bumps into her feet and says he's sorry, and she points with both of her hands to the other side of the pool and says, "You stay over there." I see and hear this, so I tell my other lifeguard friends what happened. Me, "That lady just told that boy to stay over there." Lifeguard friend, "No way she said that." Me, "I literally just saw her tell him to move." After about 2 minutes, she swims over to us and motions for one of us to come over to the pool edge to talk, so I go over. Me, "How may I help you, ma'am?"
"Can you please get those kids out of my side of the pool? They are splashing my children."
Me, "It's a pool. You're going to get wet. I cannot help that. And they can swim wherever they want in this pool." EM,
"I paid for my kids to swim here and they deserve to swim."
Me, "The school also paid to swim here. They have just as much right as you do." EM,
"They are not being family friendly at all. Look at what they are doing."
Me, "They are playing Marco Polo. That is very family friendly. I use it when I teach lessons." The EM then gives me a disgusted look and swims off to tell ED and her family. Nothing happens for a while. However, another school had come in for a swim, which made EM not want to be there anymore. So they start to pack. A man walks in with a cup of what looks like apple juice. He then goes over to the hot tub and starts to relax. All the while, EM is tapping the sign that says no food or snacks in the pool area, and she then walks over with her family. EM,
"That man has food. You need to kick him out."
Me, "He has a drink and drinks are allowed." EM,
"Well, it's alcohol. Do you have to? Look at rule number 5.
Me, "That looks like apple juice to me, and I'm not allowed to prove or disprove that, so he can stay."
Oh my god, teenagers these days.
She then leaves and her family follows suit. Only 3 of them had touched the water, which was weird since they went to a pool to go swimming. After that, I tell my lifeguard friends that I was right about her. My friend said he thought she had done some drugs as a teen. My other friend said she kinda had the Karen hair.
"I paid half a cent to be here. I now own this place."
Karen 2019. To be honest, I'm kind of speechless at this story. I just wish I would come across people like these in real life. But this story might as well be in the dictionary when you look up the word entitled, because that woman was as entitled as you can be. Alright guys, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate your support, and if you enjoyed the video, please consider liking the video and subscribing to my channel. Thank you so much.